And I hope everyone has been having a good February. Welcome back to Browns Breakdowns, proud partners for NFL's Sports Network. So today, like I said, we will be talking about the Browns coaching shifts, the changes in head coach, defensive coordinator, all these kind of things. Just kind of a rundown of what happened in the past month now, with so many people changing coaches, um, whether that be different NFL teams or your Browns in particular. So many teams have gotten different coaches. So we will be talking about all those in just 1 second. Now, if I sound weird, it's because I've been sick. I've been pretty sick over the past week, so I probably sound terrible. Hopefully you guys don't mind, but anyway, the biggest coaching change is going to, most obviously, I'd say, be Todd Monken replacing Kevin Stefanski as head coach. Now, a lot of people did and didn't like the coaching change. Some people didn't like it, other people did. Personally, I'd say it's an okay change. I really don't see Monken as a permanent type of guy. I see him more as like a 3-year bridge type of person who will really just be here to build the team up until they can get a true coaching candidate, someone who can hopefully bring us to a Super Bowl. Now, maybe Monken is that guy. I'm not sure. I don't know everything. Maybe Monken is the guy for the Browns. We just don't know yet. With how the NFL works, that always can be a possibility. But personally, I think Monken is probably more of a bridge guy than anything else. If he is the permanent guy, that's great, because I do feel like we need someone like that in this team with how we've been performing recently. It would be very nice to have someone who is on our level. And yeah, it's very interesting to see if they're going to stick with him or what's going to happen with him, if he's going to be someone who goes for a while or someone who doesn't stay around for more than 2 or 3 years. Now, with what this team is made of, it might be tough. Simply because of, sorry, I'm just trying to collect my thoughts. Simply because of the way this team is built, it doesn't feel like we have all the pieces, Now, maybe we do. Maybe we have all the pieces, and this is just an overreaction. But I feel like Monken is probably not going to last very long with the team. But again, that's just my guess. Maybe he will. I wouldn't put it past him to make it, because he has done some good things in the realm of football. I believe he was with the Ravens, and he was considered. He brought Lamar back to his MVP form when he had the chance, and so we'll see. It'll be very interesting to see what happens with him. I'm very excited to see. Maybe he can bring Shedeur Sanders to a higher point in his career after the kind of mediocre first year. Now, of course, don't worry too much about Shedeur. We saw what Drake May did. People thought he might have been MVP. Obviously, he didn't deserve MVP. That was Stafford's award all the way. But MVP Drake May could have been possible. Obviously, it didn't end up happening, but it could have been possible. It could have been there. And May had a terrible first year. So we'll see what ends up happening with him and Shedeur. I'm very interested to see that kind of dynamic. If he does end up doing good, then I'll be very impressed, because, again, this team is in a rough shape. Now, we have good pieces, like a Carson Schwarzenegger, Quinshon Judkins, Mason Graham, all these type of players, these rookies, plus what we're going to get, plus what we're going to get in the next draft and in free agency. You can't forget free agency. Free agency is often overlooked, in my opinion. So many people want to jump to the draft, and for good reason. The draft is the big talking point. Everyone wants the draft. And I personally love the draft. The draft is very fun, especially with a very high pick like what we have. You're always like, all right, who's going to fall? What pick might a different team make that will be like? And if you're in the middle of the round, now the middle of the draft is much more fun, because you're always like, okay, what are some sleeper picks? What are some picks, or what are some guys who might fall? What are some guys who are rated too highly, right? Like a Shedeur, people thought unrealistically. I don't think really anyone legitimately thought this, but people were putting Shadur at number 1 overall, which didn't end up happening, and Shadur fell to the 5th round. And so, yeah, you're looking at all these things. You're like, okay, where can these things happen? And so this team does have potential. We have some good pieces. We just need to continue building upon our foundation before we can worry about contending for any sort of title, AFC championship, division championship, things like that. Apologies, I'm like still in rough shape. You definitely probably can tell from my voice. But anyway, let's talk about defensive coordinator now. Now, this is after Jim Schwartz resigned. The new guy, not exactly who I wanted. I still wanted the Rams guy. Browns defensive coordinator is Mike Rutenberg, who resigned. He was the Falcons defensive passing game coordinator. His first stint as a defensive coordinator is Mike Rutenberg. And he's got 16 years of NFL coaching experience, including time with the Jets and the Jaguars. But, I mean, exactly what does that mean, right? Now, I think this is an okay pick. Personally, I don't like it as much as some of the other choices that were out there. Someone like the Rams guy or other people like that, I don't like the pick as much. I understand sort of the choice, I guess. I don't know. It feels kind of arbitrary. It doesn't really make as much sense to me, in my opinion. I don't know. It seems a bit out there. With other choices who I feel like could have been better, and you're looking at all these kind of guys, I feel like maybe you could have picked someone better. There's also still the internal guys, don't forget about the guys who are coming from the internal part of the system as well. I don't know. It seems like a bit of an weird pick. I'm not sure exactly who was in on this. Now, maybe it was Monken who helped on this as well. Probably was. I'm not sure. It just doesn't feel like this is the Falcons defensive passing game coordinator. Seems like such a weird position to pick from when you've got other guys who seem to probably be in a better position for your team than someone like that. Now, again, maybe this will work out and I'm wrong. Personally, I just don't feel like it's the right choice with how many other people were out there capable of taking the job, even if you just decide to go internal and pick your linebacker coach or your safety coach. But before we talk about anything else, we have to do our ads. So we will be right back after these advertisements. Well, maybe. And we're back on Brown's Breakdowns. Don't forget, we're friends with Hemisphere Coffee Roaster, so use that referral code right there. I could use some Hemisphere coffee for my throat, and hopefully to make my voice sound less absolutely atrocious. So use that referral code right there. If you're sick like me, maybe you can use it to help your throat. So I sure know it will probably help making you feel less miserable when you are sick. Anyway, the Browns coaching hires are mostly complete. Took some time, took some controversies, some what the heck's, some are you kidding me, things like that. It took some of those, but we got there in the end. Everything, our defensive coordinators filled out, our head coaches filled out. Things are finally starting to fill out, and we're almost there to the end. And so looking at it, we can't really judge anything right now, though. We cannot judge anything. The reason is we don't know how these guys are going to perform. We simply don't. This might end up being the greatest choice of the Browns' history. We might win 4 Super Bowls with these guys, right? It's impossible to tell. We also might win 4 games over the next 4 years, and all of them get fired instantly. It's impossible to tell. It is very difficult Now, do I think we're going to win 4 Super Bowls? No. Do I think we're going to win 4 total games? No. I think we're probably going to be a 9-win team. I think this team is not bad. This team has a lot of potential. We have some very good players ready and waiting coming into their second year. Schweschinger, all these type of guys, Judkins. You've got a good foundation. And again, you've got free agency coming up. You've got the draft coming up. This is a very good position player draft. You're looking at some very, very good offensive linemen, wide receivers, positions you need. And so it's very difficult to tell exactly what we're looking at. But yeah, we'll see. I think these coaches they're not going to be anything special, in my opinion. I don't think these are going to be Super Bowl caliber coaches. I don't think this is going to be the picks that change the picks that change the franchise or anything like that. But I think they're going to be okay. I don't think this is going to be a disaster. I don't think this is going to be the worst picks in NFL history or something like that. Do I think they're going to be the best? No. But I don't think that this is going to be a disaster. I think Munkin knows his stuff. I think all of them know Rutenberg knows his stuff. I think these are well suited for the team, but I still don't think absolutely. And again, maybe they will. It's impossible to tell in all technicality. And if they do, then that's great. And so overall, if I were to give them a grade, which again, like I said, it's hard to give, I'd say a C. I'd say there were probably better picks for both of these positions from my research. Right, there were other guys I would have wanted more and who I think were better fits for what we have currently. But again, overall, it isn't something that you can really physically be like, oh yeah, this was the wrong choice, right? You can't, it's impossible to tell, at least right now. Now, that's also a little unfair since, we can't tell. And so overall, yeah, I think a C is probably where I'd put it. I feel like it could have been better. I'm not a big fan of some of these. I think they could have been better, but also I sort of understand where they're coming from. This job isn't appealing right now. This team is not very good, at least according to NFL standards. I really wouldn't want to come here if I'm a head coach. I'm going to be honest. If I was a head coach, I don't think I'd want to come to the Browns. I just don't think it would be where I want to put my career, especially if I was a younger guy like a Udinsky, who was really who I wanted. If we could have gotten him, that would have been an absolutely stellar pickup. That would have been an unbelievably good head coach hire, in my opinion. He is a brilliant mind, and I would have loved him. But overall, C grade. But like I said, it's just impossible truly to tell what we're looking at and if there's any real chance that this team has at being good. And maybe this is what we needed. Maybe these guys will lead us to the Super Bowl, to the promised land. Like I said, it's just impossible to tell. But that is about all I have for you guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I apologize being kind of distant recently. I just haven't really been getting things out, and I do apologize. It should be more healthy. We'll see. There won't be a whole lot of news for a little while now that the head coaching and coaching stuff is done. But I hope everyone enjoyed, and I will talk to you guys in the next episode whenever that ends up happening. So I love you all, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.